Hey guys, my name is Chantel. Welcome back to my channel and thanks for hanging out with me today. So today we're going to talk about Idolish7 Second Beat episode 10. What was up with this episode? Momo, why didn't y'all warn me that I was in for some feels when it came to Momo, because my poor baby. Momo. And since I'm already thinking about Momo, let's just dive into Momo, because that's actually where we start off with in this week's episode. Momo pretty much goes into detail about what he said last week about not being the real Rivale. And we actually see that it looks like Yuki is also telling this to Gaku and Ryu about the situation, because they were really surprised that Momo yelled at Yuki for the first time ever like that. So they're wondering like, hey, like what's going on? Do you know what could be causing him not to be able to sing? And Momo goes into more detail of why he said the things that he's been saying in the past couple episodes, which was 1, he's running out of time. 2, the phone call with Yuki. They went into more detail about what that phone call was really about. And my gosh, they just dumped so much info. So much was revealed in this episode, and it was really heartbreaking. Which I guess like we can go in and talk about the whole not being the real Rivale. So Momo goes into details of how before Rivale used to be Yuki and somebody else. So this character, Yuki's old partner, we don't see his face, but we do see like everything else. His face has yet to be revealed. And remember how I said last week that I think I knew what this was gonna be about, but I wasn't too sure because of that spoiler that I saw pop up on my recommendations on my YouTube? Well, it's looking like it is that spoiler that I saw a while back ago, which really wasn't that long ago. It was just more so like in April when Idolish7 Second Beat was airing. That's when they started popping up on my feed because I was talking about it on my channel. So YouTube, I guess, thought, hey, you're talking about Idolish7. Enjoy a spoiler. So I'm not gonna say anything until they reveal the face, but I feel like you Idolish7 peeps probably know what I'm talking about regarding the spoiler. But regardless, even though I know who Yuki's partner might be, everything else in this episode I did not know. I did not know that Momo used to be a fan of Rivale back in the day when they used to be like an indie band. So we basically kind of get the point of view through a fan of Rivale, which was Momo. And we see how the situation with the old Rivale happened and why Yuki and his partner split up. And it wasn't because they had an argument or there was like any bad blood there. It was because of unfortunate circumstances and stuff that just happened that was beyond their control. It was just out of their control. Nothing that they could do to fix things, prevent things. It just happened, which makes this whole story like even more sadder, as Momo is telling us Rivale's story through his eyes. So we learn that Rivale was actually going to sign up with a company. I don't know the terms right, but basically an agency. That I think that's the right word, right? And they were about to debut together as a group, and they were approached by someone else. And I'm pretty sure this other person that Momo was talking about that approached them first was Kujo. The only reason why I think that was because of the way that Momo was describing him and then the reaction that Ten had. It was very, very subtle, but at the same time, I feel like just that little tiny hint of subtleness gave it away for me. Because why else would Ten react the way he did when Momo mentions the other person that wanted them to debut with him or at their agency because they could surpass Zero and he believed in them and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, where have I heard those words before? Yes, Kujo. So I definitely think it's Kujo that approached them first. And Rivale said no, because we want to go in a different direction. We want to be able to do things freely the way that we want to, which is great. And that is actually something that I always hear from a lot of big artists. Like the ones that come to mind to me for some reason, I thought instantly of Halsey and Taylor Swift, how they wanted to make like their own music, and Selena Gomez too, how they were just wanting to be themselves when it came to their music and have more of a freedom. Also, don't trash me for liking Selena Gomez. I really do love and adore her. Plus, she lived here in Texas, so I think I'm a little bit biased when it comes to Selena Gomez. But anyway, that's beyond the point and out of topic. But kind of reminded me of like that when artists do go through that and they're trying really hard to debut, but like sometimes the companies want a certain image for you, and it's really hard to make the decision to either stick to your guts and be like, no, I want to do things the way that I want to, or have it a little bit more easier and do as you're told. And again, I've seen this countless of times with artists, and a lot of artists out there talk about it a lot, which again, it's one of the things that I really do love about Idolish7, how they try to incorporate stuff like this from the real world and adapt it into a story like Idolish7. And with Rivale, they ended up getting what they wanted. They were going to debut with someone that was going to let them have that freedom that they wanted. But then right before they debuted, there was a concert and Yuki's partner was injured, so much so that there was like a scar on his face. So I was like, oh no, like everything was going so great for the former Rivale group, and then it just went downhill. Like, so all of a sudden it just got taken away from them in a blink of an eye, and there was nothing that they could do about it. But then you start hearing the other characters say, was it like staged? Did someone intend to hurt Rivale? Like, what's happening? And they do talk about how there definitely was a possibility that this could have been intentional, and it's like, oh my gosh, like it sucks when you think about it that way, and it's just like a crazy accident that no one could have predicted or saw coming. It sucks because in the end, you could tell that Yuki feels guilty because his partner was the one that saved him, because it was going to fall on Yuki, and he decided to take the hit for Yuki, and it's just unfortunate. And I'm pretty sure Yuki, based on everything that I saw in this episode, I'm pretty sure he feels really guilty about that situation and probably thinks about like, what if I did something differently or something along those lines. And it sucks. And it looks like Yuki is also a little bit hurt because his partner pretty much up and left after the accident, which before he up and left, there was this scene where we see again the person that had approached them first come back to them again and was like, hey, I'll give you another chance. What do you say about coming over to my agency? And Yuki basically pretty much was like, yeah, I'll do it. And that's because the guy that approached them said, debut with me and I will fix your partner's face and it'll be like nothing ever happened. And it's like, oh no, like of course Yuki's gonna take it because that scar is gonna be a reminder to him about the incident, and it's gonna cause a bunch of guilt. But also at the same time, I feel like he would still feel guilty either way because they took this deal. I honestly don't know what I would have done if I was in Yuki's shoes. And then his partner like obviously understood why he did it, and like I said, I can't really say too much and say about his partner, but I feel like his partner probably thought that Yuki would be better off without him, and he didn't want to make him feel guilty over this. I'm pretty sure that's probably what it was, like at the end of the day, why he decided to leave Rivale. But again, I can't say for sure. Maybe we'll find out in the future, like his reasonings, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. You never know with Idolish7, right? But it was so heartbreaking to see when Yuki like finds the letter or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure it was a letter if I remember correctly. And we hear Momo say how after that, like he was just completely different. Like he changed and he was desperate to find his partner because his partner basically left without a trace, and they haven't been in contact ever since then. And I feel like Yuki probably just wants to know if he's okay. And Momo noticed that Yuki was clearly upset over everything that happened, to the point where Yuki was even considering retiring. But Momo, him believing in Rivale and everything, he didn't want them to disband, obviously. He didn't want Yuki to stop singing. Oh, Momo, you pure pure boy. He went to Yuki's house for who knows how long. I think he said for like a month or several months, something like that, for several days, begging and crying to Yuki to please don't give up music, don't retire, please continue singing, please. I'm trying really hard not to cry just thinking about it, but seeing Momo break down like that and like begging this person that he looks up to not quit singing is so heartbreaking to see, until you see finally like Momo basically tells him, you know, we can be like I can be a temporary rivale for you, I can be your temporary partner until your partner comes back or until you find him. I'm just basically gonna be a replacement, and maybe we can just do this for 5 years and then I'm done. Momo, I'm pretty sure, was saying all this because he didn't want him to quit and he wanted to do something to help Yuki to feel a little bit better and for Rivali to continue. Eventually, Yuki was like, you know, I can never replace my partner, but I'm willing to give this a shot. Like, all right, I'll do this with you. I feel like Momo being there every day, begging him and telling him don't quit, eventually got to Yuki in his heart, and like basically like the feelings that Momo was pouring out to Yuki eventually made its way into Yuki's heart. But at the same time, I feel like the reason why Yuki took this long to consider it was probably because I feel like he probably felt like maybe it would be like betraying his partner or something. But again, maybe I'm just reading into it too much. He talks about the phone call that he overheard that we did see a few episodes ago with Yuki saying you have to do everything to make it possible, make it happen, do everything that you have to. And remember when Momo was like, oh, I'm running out of time. He was referring to this, which was Yuki's old partner. He thought that I guess there was a good chance that he was getting close to finding his old partner. So Momo was like, well, it was fun while it lasted. And it's so sad because obviously Momo enjoys being a part of Rivali, but at the same time he feels like he doesn't deserve and also like kind of like doesn't belong, because he feels like he can never be on the same level as Yuki's partner, especially because like Momo, as he was saying, he's never seen Yuki be so distraught over something, only with his old partner. So Momo also has like this thing in his head where he's like, there's no way he would ever react that way towards me, about me. And it sucks because I feel like Yuki, he definitely does care about Momo. He wants to make sure he's okay. Clearly we're seeing it. He wants Momo to be all right, and he doesn't want Momo to think that no, like, yeah, like he is sentimental about his partner. Of course, like this person was special to him. Clearly no one could ever replace him, but at the same time there's no one else that could ever replace Momo. Right now Momo just can't see clearly that yeah, Yuki does care, even though he's very calm and collected. But that's the thing too, because Yuki isn't as vulnerable and he doesn't really let Momo in. He's not really too forward and clear about his feelings, I guess is the best way that I can say that with Momo, which is why Momo kind of jumps to conclusions thinking differently than normal. But at the same time, like, he's a little bit jealous about the former partner. At least I think he's a little bit jealous just because, you know, again, he feels like he definitely could never compare to the partner, and it's always going to be the partner. He's always going to be first. Momo is second. So I guess he feels like he's second best when it comes to Rivali. And it sucks that he's thinking that way, because obviously based on Yuki's actions, that's not true. He clearly does care for Momo in his own way. And I thought things were going to be okay because Yuki does come in and talk to Momo and tells him like how important he is to him, how precious he is, and how irreplaceable he is. And things seem to be like going well. But then you see them both perform again and Momo still can't sing. Oh my gosh, you guys, speaking of that, like the minute that Momo can't sing and then you hear like this noise get louder and louder, and as soon as he looks at Yuki and he just like kind of smiles a little bit, and then the noise gets like super loud and boom, black screen. I was like, okay, that was like a nice visual sound effect to add to the scene, because it just like made it more impactful. Like it was very nicely done, fantastic. Like it just broke my heart because I thought things were gonna be fine and dandy, right? I was like, oh, okay, that was kind of quick. I thought things were gonna be resolved within the episode, but clearly no. Momo still has a lot to deal with, and this is something that I've been stressing over every freaking week at this point, how it's, when it comes to it being mentally, it takes so much more than just words. Like, yeah, you can like try to patch things up, but it needs to be the person that's dealing with this to be able to accept those words and to take those first steps to start healing from whatever is going on. And it's hard when it's mentally, because you start to hear these things and, you know, you start to hear like the positive, but your brain kind of thinks, yeah, but what about this? And you kind of start thinking negative still a little bit, even though things are like fine and dandy. It's just really hard not to think about the other side at the same time. So again, it's really up to Momo and how he proceeds, which is what I am very curious to see, is how Momo is going to handle all this, how he's going to deal with all this, and just how is he going to overcome it, because it looks like he's just completely lost. He doesn't know what to do. He can't seem to find the right answer, and it's obviously breaking him, because we even saw like at the very end of the episode, like he's like saying, what do I do? Like he's just so confused and lost, and it breaks me apart because I love Momo so freaking much. I just want him to be okay, and I want him to know that he is irreplaceable and that Yuki loves him very much dearly. What's funny is that both Gaku, Ryu, and Iori and Ten were like, okay, you guys, like, Momo, you're thinking way too much into this, and they were kind of like shooing his feelings, like not intentionally. I don't think they don't mean it in a bad way, but at the same time, like, it makes me think of like when my family, whenever I'm going through something that's like, oh, it's no big deal, like just do this and this and then you'll be fine. It's like, yeah, but you don't understand how I feel though. Like, it's different to say it how that you can do it, like do this. It takes a lot more than just that, you know. It kind of reminded me of that, like when you have like that parent, when you tell them, oh, I have anxiety or something like that, and they're like, okay, like whatever, you can just sleep it off and you'll be fine. It's like, no. I felt like that's what that reminded me of when they were talking to Momo and Riku, because Riku was like, don't worry, Momo, I understand, and Momo was like, Riku, which was really nice. And I feel like Riku might be a key player when it comes to Momo and helping him understand his feelings, but who knows. Well, again, we'll see what happens in the long run. We'll see what happens in the rest of the episodes of Idolish7, and I think that's about it that I have to say with Momo. And the next thing that I do want to talk about regarding this week's episode is about Tamaki and Sogo. So Sogo and Tamaki get a little bit of like a spotlight, or focus, I should say is a better term, to where we start talking about Aya again. Sogo is like thinking about Aya because he's like, wait, isn't this the place where I saw her last? And sure enough, guess who shows up again? At the same place, Aya. So she tries to tell Sogo to not make a sound and to basically answer her question. So she's asking about her charm, and if he's seen it, give it back, and blah blah blah. And Sogo's like, now I know for sure that you are Aya and that you're Tamaki's sister. Like, there's no denying it. And Sogo tries desperately to talk her into seeing Tamaki. He's like, Tamaki's fixing to be here in a few seconds. Like, can't you just stay? Like, please, like, he wants to see you, you know, like, you should know that he's doing all of this for you. And Aya, surprisingly, she has like this really weird reaction to Sogo where she's like, no, I can't, because then I'll be betraying him. And I was like, what do you mean betraying him? Because the first thing that came into mind, I'm like, okay, she's either talking about Ten or Kujo, but what do they have to do with this situation? And when she starts talking about it a little bit more, it becomes clear that she's talking about Kujo. And I don't know how I feel about that. I was like, oh girl, oh no. Oh no. She basically doesn't want to betray him. She wants to live up to his standards because he wants to make his dream come true. And I think she said something along the lines how it seems like he lost his way and he wants to help him get back. And she's like, there's nothing I can do because he's already placed like his hopes on somebody. And of course there would be a picture of Trigger up there, and when Aya gets quiet, when she looks up to it as she's saying this, Sogo looks to where she's looking, and Sogo immediately knows who she's talking about. And I feel like Sogo is really incredibly smart, so I know he probably knows now, like, there's a connection between Ten and Aya. Like, there's some connection there. It sucks because before Aya interrupted Sogo, because he was thinking about stuff, and he was like, I should tell Tamaki about Aya. And I was like, yes, Sogo, yes, like, do the right thing, tell Tamaki about Aya, please. But she freaking threw a wrench in his plans, and I'm like, why did you do this? I am just losing it at this point. Like, I don't know what to make of all this anymore. And what's funny, and this is something that I've actually seen a couple episodes now when it comes to Tamaki and Sogo, they're always like out on the street. And there's always like this visual of like the stoplight. It's always like on green to like, you know, keep on walking to go. And when Sogo's thinking about everything that just happened right now with Aya, he starts to think of the different possibilities of what's gonna happen once I tell Tamaki about Aya though. Is he gonna quit Mezzo and Idolish7? Is he gonna drop everything for her? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, what are the outcomes? What do I do? What's the right choice? And that's when you see like this visual of like the stoplight turning yellow, which is to like pretty much yield. Like, it's so fitting because now it looks like we reached at a slow point with Sogo and Tamaki, at least with Sogo anyway, because now he's confused on what to do and what's the right call to make. Does he sacrifice Idolish7 and Mezzo for Tamaki, or does he sacrifice Tamaki's feelings? Oh, like, it sucks when you really think about it that way, because either way, I feel like the situation is gonna be not so great. You know, Sogo was really thinking that Tamaki could probably handle it, but now he's like, I'm not too sure anymore. This poor boy. This is too much. Poor Sogo, this is too much pressure. At least I hope that he can talk to someone about this so he can get a little bit more clarity, but at the end of the day, this is gonna be Sogo's choice to make. Whatever choice he makes, it's still gonna cause a little bit of damage, and I am not ready to see it. I'm not ready to see, like, I'm not ready. Anyway, I think that's about it that I have to say with Tamaki and Sogo. The last thing that I do want to talk about, which is the ending song, it is a little bit different. So because the majority of this episode was focusing on Momo and Yuki, the ending song this time was sung by Yuki. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the lyrics this time were a little bit different, because I was reading them as the credits were rolling. I was reading the lyrics to what Yuki was saying, and I'm like, is he talking about Momo and everything that's happening right now? Like, it was really nice. Like, it was such like a nice little sweet thing. Like, it almost felt like the same song, because it had obviously like the same notes as like the regular normal ending song with Momo, but now it's just Yuki. And I feel like this definitely represents to what's happening right now with Momo and Yuki, because now it's just Yuki and his feelings. Momo is now lost. He can't sing, and there's nothing that they can do at the moment. And like, oh my gosh, like, they just really hit me with the feels this week. I just want my boys to be happy. I want things to be okay. So that's pretty much all I really have to say regarding this week's episode of Idolish7. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my ramblings and everything that I thought about it. Overall, good episode, just a lot of feels. With that being said, I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy out there, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!